Happy to be joined by the Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Mr. Andy Gipson, joining us this morning. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. How y'all doing today?
I feel honored. I just got a tip of the cap to start our conversation this morning as you come to us live from the truck. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we're getting it ready for the state fair. In fact, I'll be driving the '68 Chevy up to the fairgrounds this morning, and it's kind of bringing back a lot of memories. This is my first pickup truck, and it's got what I call 260 air conditioner. You roll down two windows and go 60 miles an hour. It's old fashioned. You can still work on it.
That is not your daily driver, is it?
No. This is my '68 Chevrolet. I'll show you here. Here's the inside of it a little bit. Every year I get this old truck out, clean it up, kind of get it ready for the fair, and I will decorate it with a lot of pumpkins and fall decorations. And here you can see that's the truck right there. I'll be driving it up this morning.
She's a beauty. If you're watching on SuperTalk TV, you can see that '68 Chevy that Commissioner Gipson is driving. I want to talk about the fair in a second, but first I would like to go back a couple of weeks if we can. Obviously, everybody now is focused on Hurricane Helene and the aftermath of that. Before that, we had Hurricane Francine, and we are in harvest season in Mississippi, and I know there was a lot of trepidation among our farmers when you look at winds and sometimes flooding rains that are coming in when you got crops that are ready to come out of the ground or you're in the process of going through the harvest. By and large, how did our farmers, especially in the Delta, but really across the state, make out a few weeks ago from Hurricane Francine?
Well, we did get some significant rain, but it wasn't nearly the devastating rains that we had thought or the winds that we had thought. So farmers were able to some of them took a break in the harvest, but the harvest is still continuing. Most of our corn is in, soybeans are coming in right now, and just now starting in the cotton harvest. So all in all, it was not devastating to us, but we remember all the people in Georgia and in North Carolina, that entire section of the country. These folks are in a mess right now, and we need to be sending them our help, not only our prayers, but also our support. And I appreciate all the relief groups that are doing that. And those farmers, I mean, they're trying to survive now. They're not even thinking about getting the crop in anymore. They're thinking about how to survive this devastation of Hurricane Helene. But we'll pull together. We'll get through it.
Commissioner, we know that our farmers are operating on kind of a razor's edge. Expenses are so high. Yields have, in recent years, been generally good. As you talk to the farmers across the state, what are you hearing about this year's crop and some of the challenges that they are facing?
Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is the toughest year our farmers have seen probably since sometime in the 1980s. The last 2 or 3 years, inflation has been creeping up, skyrocketing up in the last couple of years. And frankly, the prices for our products are not keeping up with the costs. So this year, it appears, and anything can happen, but it looks like a lot of farmers are going to lose a lot of money due to the low prices. And there are several factors to contribute to that. One of them is the trade deficit that we're in, that the Biden-Harris administration has allowed to exist. We're not selling near the amount of product that we used to sell overseas. In Mississippi, I'll give you a good illustration. 1 out of every 3 acres is destined for international markets. So that's a third of the market. And you translate that nationally, we're in the worst trade deficit we've seen in a long time. So product is not selling. So you've got an excess of product. You've got a sky-high inflation, cost of inputs, and you've got low prices. And now, on top of that, this labor union strike on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast is going to do a double whammy on our farmers. We're not going to even be able to ship the product that we are selling overseas and internationally. So it's a perfect storm. And frankly, bankers are telling us that maybe 25% of farmers or more may not be able to continue after this year. That's how bad it is for our farmers in this time. And yesterday, Congress failed to pass an extension of the Farm Bill. It expired. So The farm bill itself does not exist as of today, and we've been urging Congress, and farm groups have been urging Congress to pass something, and to pass something to keep our farmers going here, because it's looking rough. It's as rough as it's been in a long, long time.
One of the things that former President Trump has talked a lot about on the campaign trail is instituting tariffs. And Democrats have used that as kind of a flag. Oh, this is a tax on the American people. He frames it as something that is about keeping American business in America, bringing it back as well. As you talk about the trade issue and exporting crops, what is your position on this concept of tariffs for American products that are being shipped overseas, and what effect could it have on the farm community?
Well, the tariffs have definitely had an effect, and they were put in place with the effort to try to rein in some of the Chinese dealing that was done that was hurting our farmers overall. They're driving prices lower. I do feel like there's a place for tariffs. I feel like there's certainly a place for those. However, I think what we need to understand is there's a lot more going on here than tariffs. Even before the tariffs began, China was trying to buy, for example, soybeans from other countries besides the United States. So Brazil down in South America has become a major player, and you see production of agriculture products around the world ramping up in different countries that are not friendly to us. The Russia, China, the BRICS alliance that's been put in place. Their whole goal has been to try to cut off as much American product as they could. And so we have to understand we're in somewhat of an adversarial position here, and we have to stand up for ourselves and our farmers. I feel like the tariffs that Trump put in place, the Biden-Harris administration continued those tariffs. So if they thought they were a bad idea, the question should be asked, why have they continued them? So there's a lot going on. I will say this. We need to push the reset button on all this trade issue. We need to make a comprehensive effort at what is going to protect American agriculture. And at the same time, we need to make sure that these foreign countries that are our enemies are not coming in here buying up our farmland, buying up our greatest asset, which is our ability to produce food and fiber and shelter. We got to, like Trump says, we got to put America first. So I think the time this year is going to be the perfect time for us to come up, and I do pray and I believe Trump is going to win. I think this will be the perfect time to push that reset button and try to reset these tariffs, as well as put in place policies that are going to promote more of American products versus some of these enemy countries' products around the world.
Commissioner Andy Gipson, he's going to stick with us through the break. We'll talk a little bit about the Mississippi Fair, which begins officially tomorrow, and maybe get some of his thoughts on the vice presidential debate. We've got 2 minutes into the break. I do want to ask you about this. I think across the state of Mississippi and across much of the country, people recognize that we have a terrible issue that's going on at the border. The immigration crisis is a very real thing, and we've got to figure that out. But as it pertains to the agriculture community, seasonal workers that come from Mexico and other parts of Central America play a big role for a lot of our farmers, even right here in Mississippi. How do you balance those two things?
Well, there's a really simple balance, and that is people who want to come work, there's a legal process to do that. And I think the Democrats have taken the scales off of the balance, and they let it tip entirely to the liberal side. And their policy is, let's let everybody come in, whether they want to work or not, whether they want to commit crimes or not. They have open borders. And this is counterproductive to the legal process for people to get jobs, because you see now they're competing. These illegals are competing with jobs against not only our law-abiding citizens of America and Mississippi, but for jobs for the people who have followed the legal process, H-2A, H-2B. Who are here legally. I mean, I've talked to some of those workers, and they come here seasonally to do seasonal work, and they don't like this illegal open border crisis any more than the rest of us. So I do believe that that's going to be one of the main issues that's going to drive the result of the election November 5th. People are just fed up with this, and we're being overrun with people who are here illegally. You may remember when I was in the legislature, the House of Representatives passed a bill to allow state law enforcement to enforce the law because the federal government under Obama stopped enforcing it. And I think that's
hold
the
that
type
thought,
of,
if you will, Commissioner. We're going to continue this conversation on the other side of the break, visiting with the Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce right here in the great state of Mississippi, Andy Gipson. We're back with you on the Gallo Radio Show right after this. So much to do, not enough time on this Wednesday morning, the 2nd of October. Tomorrow, the Mississippi State Fair begins. Our guest is Mississippi Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Andy Gipson. He is joining us this morning. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. Mr. Commissioner, I want to share a message with you that we got during the break. Obviously, we had the vice presidential debate last night, and I thought this was a really fascinating insight. 24-year-old second-time voter here. That was the first civilized debate I've ever seen. As a young person, I wish we could have more debates like that so we could truly get to know the candidates and their views on the actual concerns of the people without all the bickering. Debates like that lead to people voting for someone as opposed to voting against someone, because the latter is the only type of election most young people have ever experienced. I feel like that's really fascinating insight from someone who is probably still being shaped in some of their political views and beliefs.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it was the kind of debate that Americans expect and deserve. And I was really impressed with J.D. Vance. I watched the entire debate. I didn't know exactly what to expect, how he would debate or what he would say, but I think he did exactly what he needed to do and more. And this Tim Walz guy was just trying to, I think he's trying to fool people into thinking he's a moderate when he's in fact a raving liberal, probably the most liberal candidate for vice president other than Kamala Harris that we've ever had. And Kamala being the most radical liberal that we've ever seen. So I think last night, I doubt it changed a whole lot of people's minds, but folks like that first time or second time voter, independent voters, I think it really did make a difference for them.
Other than style, did you have a takeaway from last night's debate? Is there anything that really stood out for you?
What stood out for me was that J.D. Vance was really, I think, thoughtfully gearing his discussion toward the independent voters, even in some cases toward swing voters, who might vote Democrat one time and Republican another. I think that's going to be your critical pool of people. Those are the folks who are going to decide who the next president is in Ohio, in these swing states, Pennsylvania, in Arizona, in Georgia. And I think that was my greatest takeaway, was the messaging that he had was really geared toward that group of voters. The base is the base. I love my base, and I'm always stand for the conservative principles we believe in. But I think the Republican Party, including J.D. Vance, is doing a good job in this election, reaching out to those independent voters through the kind of messaging that J.D. Vance had.
We are visiting with the Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture and Commerce, Andy Gipson. The State Fair, obviously a big thing on the calendar in the state of Mississippi every year. Great food, great fun, family tradition for generations for a lot of Mississippians in the central part of the state. You got the rides, the livestock shows, and everything else. Give us an overview as we go into the 2024 fair, what we need to know and what you're most looking forward to.
Well, first of all, we're going to cut the ribbon on October 3rd, tomorrow, Thursday at 11 o'clock, and we'll kick it off then. We start on Thursday, and then we'll have a lot of great events with the livestock shows kicking up this weekend, beef cattle in particular, all the great fair food that you're used to. We do have the Taste of the Dixie National Rodeo coming back to the State Fair. So with your fair admission, you get every evening at 7 o'clock weekday, there'll be a rodeo performance, as well as on the weekends, 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And then for the first time, you can buy your tickets online. You can buy them at, go to our website, amidststatefair.com. You can buy them in advance. And if you buy them today, you'll save $2 on admission. It's $8 a person online today. Tomorrow at the gate and all through the fair, it'll be $10. And we want you to come out and enjoy all the great activities. We got the Oak Ridge Boys will be here Saturday, their last performance live in their farewell tour. We've got Matthew West on Sunday, Drew Hill on next Friday, and Ronnie McDowell at Senior American Day on October the 9th. So we got a great lineup of folks and a lot of fun, entertainment, and activities.
So the last time that the Oak Ridge Boys are going to perform Elvira on this tour.
Yep.
And maybe they're
That's right. Inside. This is it. I mean, Saturday, October 5th.
Giddy up a boom.
It'll be Giddy up a boom, Baba. I may try.
Singing, we're good.
I may sing along with them, but I doubt I'll take a solo on that song. But they'll be in the Coliseum. You can get your tickets to all those concerts online as well, msstatefair.com or at Ticketmaster. And we got 60 different rides, carnival rides. We've got 100 different food vendors. A lot of our local Mississippi folks are here, and we got some new Mississippi folks that are bringing their products to the state fair. So over 100 different food items, and we invite you to come out. And it's all about agriculture. It started 165 years ago as an agricultural livestock exhibition, and it still continues that today. So when you support the state fair, you're supporting agriculture, our 4-H, FFA kids, farm families, and that's what it's all about. And it'll be safe. We've got great police presence from JPD all the way up to the state troopers and highway patrol and Capitol Police, Hines SO, Pearl PD. A lot of great agencies will be there on site, and you'll be safe when you're at the state fair.
Website is msstatefair.com. That's msstatefair.com. One of the things you can do is kind of see the events and the days that you've got wristbands that you can buy so that you can ride unlimited rides in the afternoons and in the evenings. A lot of opportunities to do that. Mr. Commissioner, how do you keep your cowboy hat on when you're on one of those rides that spins you around real fast?
I don't. I take it off.
Take it off for that?
And somebody. But let me say this, don't forget the biscuit booth. It's only in the state of Mississippi can you come get a fresh, hot, homemade buttermilk biscuit absolutely free and get it at the biscuit booth while the getting's good. We hope to give away 100,000 or more biscuits like we did last year at the state fair. Stop by and see us.
100,000 biscuits over the course of 11 days. That is fantastic. Last thing for you, Commissioner, in terms of inside your office, stuff that's on the horizon, that's kind of at the top of your to-do list right now in the Department of Agriculture and Commerce. What is that thing, or what are those things?
Well, of course, we're monitoring the harvest right now, and we expect that, as I mentioned, we do expect the harvest is going to be very good this year for our Mississippi farmers. Agriculture is the largest industry in the state. Poultry is our number one industry, and followed by soybeans and forestry, cotton, corn, beef cattle, all that. Harvest is going to be great, but the prices are not where they need to be. So what we're monitoring is, first of all, we are monitoring this dock strike situation because, frankly, it's got all of our poultry bottlenecked. Any shipments that we would make of our poultry out of the country are on hold until that gets resolved. So that's going to be a short-term and a long-term issue. And then we're watching, of course, the harvest, and we're really asking Congress to move forward, find a bipartisan way, whatever it takes, to reinstate the Farm Bill, to provide some certainty to our farmers, because they're facing, as I mentioned, difficult days, and they need certainty, they need relief, and they need our support. America is blessed to be the breadbasket of the world, and we can feed ourselves and we can feed a lot of people around the world, but we've got to support our farmers and get that Farm Bill passed. So those are the things that we're focused on. There's more I could talk about, a whole lot more, but I know our time is short. I will say, watching the pumps, finish the pumps over in the South Delta, it seems like we're getting closer to a resolution on that, on getting those pumps installed. We're watching the different proposals with EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers. But those are some key things that we're focused on at the Ag Department.
know that pump situation is an answered prayer for a lot of people in the south part of the Delta. Mr. Commissioner, we appreciate your time. Nice hearing those birds chirping in the background. Glad you got the 68 Chevy polished up and ready to go, and enjoy the fair.
We'll see you there. Thank y'all.
Sounds great. Andy Gipson, he's the Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, and a lot of good information there. Kind of hit a bunch of different issues. It is hard being a farmer right now. Not that Lance, the farm community, has ever had it easy. I mean, you're talking about some of the hardest workers that have ever lived. The days are long and the nights are short, and there's always plenty of angst, and you're operating at the whims of the weather and Mother Nature. But when you deal with prices and global politics and everything else, it's discouraging when you're looking at bumper crops, but prices don't match the output. So hope you will keep on a daily basis, especially this time of year during the harvest, all of our farmers in your thoughts and in your prayers for them and the important role they play, not just in Mississippi, but in the United States. Coming up next, Todd Taylor will join us. He is with Samaritan's Purse. They have activated and are heavily involved in the relief efforts in the wake of Hurricane Helene. We'll talk a little bit about that with him when we come back. This is the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. Good morning, Mississippi.